Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to November 2nd, 2023 Woodstock City Council. This hybrid meeting is being held in person here in council chambers and electronically in accordance with section 238, subsection 3.3 of the Municipal Act and section 16.6.24 of the City of Woodstock Procedure Bylaw. This meeting is being live streamed to the city's YouTube channel and recording will be posted on the city's website following the meeting. An agenda of the meeting can be found on the agendas, meetings, and minutes page of the city's website, and all councillors are in attendance, so there's none attending virtually. We did have a closed session that started at 1 o'clock, so I'll ask Councillor Leatherborough. We don't need to move the motion. I'm sorry. We did that already. My apologies. That did finish approximately 1:19, I believe it was. Yes, for the record. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. No disclosures of new business that I'm familiar with. No matters arising from the minutes. And now the minutes. Councillor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself, Councillor Kate Leatherborough, seconded by Councillor Lauder, that the minutes of the regular meeting of Woodstock City Council held on October 19th, 2023 be adopted.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns with that? Seeing none. All those in favor? Carried. Next up, additions to the agenda. Councillor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself, Councillor Kate Leatherborough, seconded by Councillor Tate, that the following items be added to the agenda. Special Committee and Advisory Task Force Reports, item 15A, Community and Social Wellbeing Reserve Fund.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none. All those in favor? It's carried, none opposed. No presentations or delegations tonight, but we do have consideration of planning reports. 9A, report regarding Conservation Authority Service Agreement, Upper Thames River and Grand River Conservatory. Director Huff, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Your Worship, thanks very much. I just want to take a few minutes to, this is something that I think probably everyone's aware that some of the significant changes that the province has brought in across a number of different areas in municipal government. One of the things that affects us, of course, is the conservation authorities. They have a whole basically a new way of doing business. There's a couple of things that are important to us in that regard is that one of the main things is that the conservation authorities have now, basically their operations have been divided up into what we call mandatory, or what they call category 1, or non-mandatory services. And the non-mandatory services are affect us to some degree. Now, the mandatory services they will continue to provide. We do not require agreements, and they're not required to enter agreements with municipalities. And according to, and maybe just to back up a little bit here, is that you'll see that this report refers specifically to the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority and Grand River. There's only a very small component of Grand River that's actually in the boundaries of the city of Woodstock. Upper Thames, of course, covers most of the city and the biggest part of the county. And the report, though, also identified that the county is also subject to 2 other conservation authorities, being Catfish Creek, which only affects a very small portion of the southwest, and Long Point. And neither one of those conservation authorities identified any services, non-mandatory services, that they would require agreements with municipalities. Not to say they don't provide services, they just don't require municipal funding to do so. So the 2 that have identified services that under the non-mandatory banner that they're looking for municipal partnership with are Upper Thames and Grand River. And I'm going to focus on the Upper Thames again, because the Grand River, even when you look at the report, it does speak to what the agreement's about and how much money is they've actually provided their 2024 budget, draft budget allocation for the county of Oxford as a whole in Grand River is $8,000, a little over $8,000 what they're anticipating. So we're not terribly concerned by that. Of course, we want to keep and monitor that going forward over the years to make sure that those numbers stay reasonable. But in Upper Thames case, because again, it's a larger portion, and because it's all assessed it's based on assessment. And of course, the city of Woodstock, outside of London, I think is probably the biggest assessor inside Upper Thames. So the number there is much higher. It's $132,000 again. Would be spread over the entire county. And it's also important to note too that the county of Oxford, you see when you look through any of these documents that there's a lot of municipalities that are clearly local municipalities that are members and are paying their levy or paying their the portions of the levy that the conservation authorities are requiring. That's not the case in Oxford. Oxford is identified as a regional government for the purpose of the Municipal Act, and under the Municipal Act, the county then becomes the payer. And we do the county does appoint members from, I believe, Councillor Schedenberg is the member to Upper Thames from the city of Woodstock. So the appointments do happen that way, but the county, it actually comes through the county levy. So we think it's important that these reports go to everybody, so that because notwithstanding like Tillsonburg, for example, is not affected by either one of these conservation authorities, but the ratepayers do effectively pay the rates along with everybody else. We think it's important for everyone to know this. So one of the key things that came out of the legislative changes from the province was that the conservation authorities no longer have any ability to be able to provide comments on development applications from a natural heritage perspective. They are still involved because of their core mandate on natural hazards and areas that are regulated by the conservation. So permitting those sorts of things and managing those natural hazards still remains in their purview. But when it comes to natural heritage, things like woodlots, and they're no longer part of the equation for land use planning purposes. But they still do provide services that are non-mandatory that are identified in this report. And just examples of some of the, like for example, on the restoration side, we have the Clean Water Act or the Clean Water Program that the Conservation Authority is the lead on. And we do fund that both through the levy and through other contributions to the county through our budget at the planning department. That money is, we believe, well spent. It's money that gets leveraged into additional funding for the Conservation Authority, and it funds a lot of programs. And we every year have the stewardship award, and that basically identifies a number of programs that happen each year, and then all the work that happens right across the county each year. We select a winner from that, but there's a lot of good work that happens in conjunction with the Conservation Authority. They do a lot of education and outreach. If people are familiar with the Groundwater Festival, it gets hosted here once every 3 years, but it is a festival that happens across the watershed. And keeping in mind that that's also the case too, when you look at the numbers that are in the report and in the budgets, is that this is a watershed based thing. So when we look at Oxford County's contribution, of course, we're not the biggest fish in the pond. The city of London clearly is, and they're paying the freight, and the level of service that we get relative to non-mandatory comes, it ebbs and flows. Some things we get more of, some things we get less of, and we think for the funding that's required, that they request of us is good value. The other part of it, of course, is the Oxford Natural Heritage Study falls into the other category that is non-mandatory, that we do make use of. They're very useful in providing that. Again, it's a natural heritage thing, but it's not natural heritage in the sense they're commenting on applications. It's natural heritage in the sense that they're providing, assisting us providing the science that goes into the decision making that happens around development. So we're still obligated, to protect natural heritage resources. We just do that differently now, and the way we do it, just for council's information, is that the county retains a consultant that when a developer comes forward with an application that requires review, for example, of an environmental impact study, we retain that consultant at the cost of the developer. We manage the entire process. There's no additional requirements for funding through taxation or anything else. And ultimately, it serves the role of the Conservation Authority, in particular in the case of Upper Thames, used to provide for us, is actually done through a consulting firm now. It's work we've been doing it for a year, because it was actually the end of last year that the Conservation Authority got the regulation handed down that they no longer could provide comments on these sorts of applications. So it's worked very well for us, and we think it's a good approach. The agreement itself, I mean, just to focus on that a little bit, the agreement is for Upper Thames is a 4-year agreement. It is to be reviewed every year. There is an escape hatch. It's a 6-month if we decide, or the conservation authority decides it's a business we don't want to be in partnership, or we just don't want to be in business on certain things, that can be reviewed. And the 6-month, I think, is just because when you're talking about funding for these sorts of programs and the sorts of things that I think as municipal governments, we understand a bit of a runway is necessary to make sure that we have the time, ample time to make those changes as necessary. Again, the amounts that are being, what you see in this report, actually, Upper Thames has not provided their 2024 budget numbers as of yet. These numbers are from 2023, and while they haven't, again, not to spend too much time on this, the agreements are different, and for whatever reason, Conservation Ontario or the provincial government did not mandate that these had to be done all the same way. So they didn't do them the same way. So Upper Thames is different than the Grand River. They both amount to the same thing, essentially, in terms of what the services that they're providing. There's even some interpretation questions about what's a class 2 or a category 2 and category 3. But again, not so critical, because we think that the net result is that for our purposes is that the service provision is more or less the same. And we think we're getting a good value for that. But keep in mind that going forward, that, you know, just like our conservation budgets now, the principal budget will continue to be, you know, we don't really have, other than the, you know, that goes through their board makes their decisions, and that comes to the county for consideration and before payment. This portion of the budget would historically been rolled up into that budget. Now the non-mandatory portion that's talked about in this report will be separated. The conservation, in terms of actual increases year over year, the Conservation Authority, I think the legislation has indicated that basically what they cannot provide, they can't basically suggest that the main budget will be a 2% increase, but then provide a 10% increase on this the non-mandatory portion. It can be no more than the actual increases that are being, or decreases if that ever should happen, associated with the main budget. So I know there's a lot of information in here. We've had a lot of discussions with the conservation. I've had them reviewed through our finance office at the county. We'd have liked to have had more time to spend consulting with area municipalities. However, with the timeline, by the time we got this information from the CAs, didn't leave us a lot of time. So what we have done is we provided basically this report in a draft form to the area municipal staff to have a look at and get back to us with any comments they've had. And so far so good. So anyway, so we're here before you today. What we're looking for now is that ultimately by the end of the year, we have to have these agreements, the acknowledgement of these agreements in place for the conservation authorities. We're asking council here to, if you agree with us, to endorse the agreement as you see them, and we'll then proceed to take a report to county council and ultimately have the agreement signed with the CAs. So those are the extent of my comments, Mr. Mayor. Happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Very thorough. Questions of council, Councillor Schanberg.
Yeah, from the mayor through to our delegation. Not to provide even more background, because as you mentioned, I am on the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority board, have been since I was elected last term. So basically 5 years now I've been on the board. But it was interesting to note that then MPP Jeff Urich on August the 16th, 2019, just to give a little bit more background on it, basically sent a letter to all conservation authorities, and there's 34 of them across the province of Ontario, and essentially told them to wind down all programs except flood control, drinking water source protection, and management of lands, so that they had defined what the essential services were for each of the conservation areas. And as you mentioned, some of them are slightly different from one group to the next. But what was interesting is how things have evolved kind of backwards to almost be back to normalcy, except for creating these category 1, category 2, and category 3. And I always think that the best example of category 3 would be the Piddock Conservation Area, and the fact that you're going camping on the weekend has really no connection to whether or not somebody needs a building permit for a house close to a waterway. So that would sort of be the significant difference there. But thanks for your report, and I think it's something to go forward with.
Any questions or comments from anyone else? Seeing none, looking for a motion on the floor. Councillor Leatherborough, seconded by Councillor Schanberg.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council receive report CP 2023-362 and further that Woodstock City Council advise the county that the city supports entering into MOU agreements with the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority and the Grand River Conservation Authority for programs and services as outlined in report CP 2023-362.
Last chance. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? None opposed. Carried. Thank you, Director Huff. Next up, there are no consideration of correspondence or staff presentations. No mayor's report or councillor reports today. We do have a department reports. 14B1 amendments to traffic bylaw 802.04. Looking for a motion. Councillor Lauder, second by Councillor Martin.
Thank you. I'll move that Woodstock City Council refer the report regarding amendments to traffic bylaw 8021-04 to the bylaw section of the agenda.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns with that? Councillor Leatherborough?
Through your worship to Mr. DeHaan, city engineer, just curious if you could share for the public's benefit when a resident reaches out and would like a new stop sign or a four-way stop sign, multiple, if you could just elaborate what that process looks like on your end. Thanks.
Your worship, through the councillor. Yes, when we get a request for an all-way stop or basically any kind of restrictions for the roads, something that will affect our traffic bylaw, we do follow up on all complaints. We and specifically for an all-way stop, the Ontario Traffic Council has recommended warrants. They specifically say that all-way stops should not be used for traffic calming. They're to be used for control of the traffic. So basically, they have warrants for, and if it meets the warrants, then we recommend to council, as we are in this case, an all-way stop. And the warrants are based on the volume of traffic at the intersection, the distribution of the traffic at the intersection, as well as collision history over the last 3 years. So basically, what an intersection has to do to warrant a traffic signal, or sorry, an all-way stop, would be basically have a high enough traffic volume. So if you have 2 or 3 cars going through a day, it's not going to meet. And then basically that it's more that all directions, or at least the 2 cross directions, have fairly equal traffic distribution. So if all the traffic is going east-west and nothing's going north-south, again, it's not going to meet the warrants for. And then to supersede that, if there's a high accident history at that intersection, that would supersede the warrants. If for some reason, like line of sight's an issue or whatever, that's why we'd recommend one then also.
Okay, thank you. Great question. Yeah. Anything else or? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried, none opposed. Next up, 14.B.2. Looking for a motion. Councillor Leatherborough,
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council approve the initiation for the abandonment of the Gould Drain and the Jackson Drain, and further that Woodstock City Council approve city staff to notify the landowners in each drainage area.
thank you. Looking for a seconder. Councillor Tate, discussion. Councillor Schanberg.
Yeah, thanks from the mayor through to, I guess, Harold DeHaan, our engineer, one more time. Give us an explanation as to the fact that these drains really will exist in the future through the new subdivisions, just exist in a different capacity? Pun intended, I guess.
Your worship, through the councillor, yes, you're correct. And the municipal drains is basically, it's an old system that was set up way back when to basically get all the property owners, and in those cases, it was mostly farmers. One property would drain into another, and the province set up this mechanism to basically ensure that one farmer couldn't stop another, and that's why municipal drains were created. now with the development of what the city has always done as we grow, if we have development on an area that has a municipal drain, we've abandoned the municipal drain and basically we intercept what was part of the old municipal drain system into the new municipal storm sewer system. So the drainage that and the drainage areas are adequately what's the word I'm looking for? They continue to be serviced. We just service them through the storm system now instead of using the legal mechanism of a municipal drain.
Any further questions? Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. DeHaan. I know that yesterday I had a good discussion with Mr. Ellis, who explained a lot of this to me because this was speaking another language in my world. But I don't know, Mr. DeHaan, if maybe you can elaborate a little bit on the fact that my concern was the impact on the folks that are in that area already. And Mr. Ellis was able to explain that this is not, it would not be an issue for the folks that are currently residing in that area.
Your worship, through the councillor, that is correct. The storm system will continue, the new storm system, sorry, will intercept the drains and will continue to provide an outlet for the municipal drains that are outside the city limits. It's just legally this process, actually this condition came from the township because they wanted to protect their residents also, so.
Thank you. Councillor Shanberg.
Yeah, not to keep on this topic longer than we really need to, but again, to Mr. DeHaan. What was interesting is when you looked at the original golf course, the Woodstock Meadows golf course, there was a water feature in the middle of the golf course that seemed to be fed by the municipal drain and was kind of water in and then water out on the other end, because now that municipal drain will no longer exist on being above ground for the new subdivision. So that's kind of an interesting thing to note, that the visible water feature will be essentially gone, but a stormwater management pond will be elsewhere.
Your worship, through the councillor, that's correct. The pond won't be there, but there will be a stormwater management pond at the south end of the property.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? Carried, none opposed. Nothing from cultural services, parks and recreation, economic development. We do have Councillor Tate.
I'll move that Woodstock City Council authorize the mayor and clerk to sign an agreement of purchase and sale with 214 Carson Company for approximately 18.4 acres of city-owned industrial land on Allier Street, and that the necessary bylaw be read.
Thank you. Second by Councillor Martin. Discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? None opposed. Carried. Nothing from clerks or CIO's office, human resources, fire services. Of course, we have the municipal code chapter 802 consumer fireworks bylaw. Councillor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council refer Municipal Code Chapter 802 Consumer Fireworks to the bylaw section of the agenda, and further that City Council approves the short form wording and set fine submission as listed in Appendix A, and further that City Council authorizes the Deputy City Clerk to make the necessary application to the Ministry of the Attorney General to seek approval for the proposed short form wording and set fines changes associated with the Municipal Code Chapter 802 fireworks.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Lauder. And welcome. We have Chief Slager in the house. We'll let you speak to this.
Thank you, Your Worship. So we're back again for fireworks. The only change I'd like to bring to the attention that was listed in the report from the last time we were here is on review, we had some discussion about the definition of owner, where the initial bylaw as it read would have had a bit of a challenge with rental properties within the community if it was the tenant who was setting off the fireworks. The way the bylaw had been presented at the previous meeting meant that the actual owner of the home, although not present and not in care and control of the property, would have been the only person who could have been issued a citation for the discharge of the fireworks, which is not the intent of it. So by utilizing the same definition that we currently have within the fire code for addressing very similar matters, we incorporated that into here so that we now define the owner of the property as a person in care and control. So that allows us to address a citation to the rental, the member who, or the person who is renting the property, rather than going after the actual property owner who may be completely unaware that fireworks are being discharged at that time. Other than that, the bylaw remains the same as what was presented to you. The short form wording did have a brief review prior to coming back for presentation to council. So we've addressed any of the concerns that were listed there. The fines, you'll note, that are a little bit higher than what was in the previous bylaw, where we did permit the use and the sale of fireworks. This is to kind of encourage or discourage, I guess, the setting off and the purchasing of and the selling of a bit more than just following the restrictions. So with that, I'm open to any questions.
Thank you. Councillor Leatherborough.
Through your worship, I just wanted to thank you, Chief Slager, for all your effort and time on this.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Nope. Nope. Yes. You're sure? No. Councillor Sandberg.
Yeah, through the mayor to our fire chief, just wanted to confirm for everybody that these take effect January the 1st, 2024. That may be watching this and looking at the, especially the Appendix A and how the fines are changing.
Your worship, through to Councillor Shanberg, correct. At the previous meeting, that was the implementation date that council set on. That's what's been incorporated into the bylaw. So the coming Diwali celebration will operate underneath of the current bylaw, which does permit the sale and discharge of fireworks. And we encourage and remind our residents to read the bylaw, follow it, discharge them only on the day that it's permitted. And we will start everything anew January 1st, 2024.
Thank you. No further questions for the chief or comments? All right, seeing none. All those in favor? None opposed, carried. Thank you. If it's okay with council, I would like just backstep just a little bit to Parks and Rec. I do have a question from the Parks and Rec, and everybody knows me, knows I like to ask a question when we have somebody new in the house. So Miss Metcalf, directed to you if you don't mind. Do you know anything about the pitches? I've been getting a lot of questions on the new cricket pitch, and believe I'm being told there's some construction started there. Is that, can I confirm that?
Your worship, to answer your question, I am not familiar with the update of the cricket pitches. I do know that we have staff that are currently working on a draft plan, however, no update.
Oh, fair enough. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'll certainly get in touch with them and ask. All right, carrying along. Public Works, RFP 11260 garage repair pit. Looking for a motion, Councillor Schadenberg, second by Councillor Lauder.
The Woodstock City Council award the proposed contract for the installation of a garage repair pit to Garage Supply Contracting Inc. for $202,463 and then 63 cents exclusive of HST.
Thank you. Discussion? Councillor Schadenberg.
Yeah, from the Works Department, I wonder if Dan Locke has explained, first of all, what a repair to the garage pit has to, exactly what it is, and why specifically we're here to approve this this tender today.
Okay, so through you, your worship, to answer councilor's question. This is a 2023 capital budget that was our project that was already approved. It is a repair pit that we've had a hoist failure, and rather than repairing the hoist and having that same setup, we've chosen to go a different route and install a new pit that allows the same work to be done in a little bit safer way, I think, and more flexibility with the that bay. So the reason why it's coming to council today is because through the public forum of bids and tenders, we only received one bid. So to meet the purchasing bylaw requirements, we had to bring it to council for your consideration.
Any other questions? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed. Carried. Nothing from IT today. There is Special Committee Advisory Task Force Report 15A. Looking for a motion for Community and Social Wellbeing Reserve Fund. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council approve the following allocations of funds from the Community and Social Wellbeing Reserve Fund, and I'm looking to amend what was suggested. Oxford County Community Health Center Mobile Health Outreach Bus of 7,500, Salvation Army Food Bank 7,500, and Ingama Homes 5,000.
Okay, do we have a seconder on this? Councillor Leatherborough. Councillor Wismer Van Meer, would you like to speak to this?
Yes,
Thank
thank you, Mr. Mayor. The reason I have, so we did have a meeting this past week, Halloween to be exact, on October 31st. We did have a couple of requests, but during that meeting, we did talk about the fact that we do still have $50,000 that's in this fund to be used for the end of the year. So we did ask those in attendance of the groups that are in attendance of this task force if there was some needs that we could address. Ingama Homes mentioned the purchasing of food cards for the families that are staying at the residence. So they came back with this ask for 5,000. Salvation Army Food Bank did come back, did mention the need, but did not have a dollar figure for us at that time. They did come back asking for 15,000. The reason that I am asking council to reconsider halving that at this point is during that discussion, we also spoke with Mr. Shapton from Operation Sharing in creating a warming center, whether that's brick and mortar, a mobile unit, some kind of a center for the winter months. Our numbers are rising of folks that are living vulnerable and are experiencing homelessness. And a warming center is something that is needed. Police services were in attendance at that meeting and spoke to the fact that they are at times having to take people into their lobby and having them in the lobby of our police department to keep them warm. And that is not the job of our police services. That's not what they're meant to be doing. So I'm a little hesitant on putting the 15,000 to Salvation Army right up front until we dig a little bit deeper. Mr. Shapton has already started some conversations in what the cost would be to potentially put warming centers, what that might look like cost-wise. And really, really early figures are looking maybe about 30,000, which if we do this full 15 at this point, we will not have that amount to cover that potential cost. Not to say that the need of the Salvation Army Food Bank is not required. We all realize that, but we do have community support, and I would urge our community to support the food bank. The community support of a warming center is not as available for that. So I, at this time, would like to see these funds held off until we can get a better figure for a warming center from Mr. Shapton, and I am working with him on that as well, and see where we end up. And then before the end of the year, whatever funds are still there, we can reevaluate and potentially have some more funds available for the Salvation Army Food Bank.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions on that? Councillor Tate?
Through the chair, yeah, I completely agree. I thought 15,000 was a large amount, and after talking to Councillor Leatherbarrel and to the CAO, I think it's really important that we have the funds for the warming center.
Thank you. Other questions, Councillor Leatherborough, or comments?
Through your worship, yeah, just a reflection of another successful meeting this past Tuesday. And as we approach a 1-year mark of this being in place, I thank all of council for approving this. It's been a learning curve, and each meeting I personally take away a lot of information. And just to reference the community health center mobile bus, some of the requests that they were looking for were personal hygiene supplies as well as general daily living, sleeping bags, large garbage cans with lids, flashlights, etc. And also a good news story, I think, is that Deputy Mayor Wilson from the Township of Ingersoll, I believe next week or the week after, has moved a motion for voting and debating on developing a local encampment protocol, which is great. And it does list the park encampments outreach and response course that some of us attended, which was also very beneficial to the work that we are doing in Woodstock. And further to that, just thanking all of the community partners that are at the table, but specifically the Parks and Recs Department, Public Works, Engineering, Bylaw, Fire Services, et cetera, et cetera. It's been a very positive experience, although it's a challenging task before us.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, your worship. I'll support this motion and the $7,500 for Salvation Army. I was disappointed that there wasn't a little bit more detail in their ask. Both Ingamo Homes and the community health bus were very detailed in how they would use the funds. So I'm hopeful that if they have the opportunity to come back and ask for more funds, that we might find out a little bit more. Would the food program that they're looking to address be specifically for people in encampments or for the general public? Would it be for dry goods? Would it be for fresh produce? Just a little bit more detail would really be helpful in the decision-making process. There's no doubt that the cost of food has increased exponentially and that there is a need, no matter what, whether we allocate $7,500 or $15,000, there will continue to be a need. But a little bit more detail certainly would be helpful as we move forward in decision making.
Thank you. Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. I just want to thank the committee for the work they've done. I know it isn't easy to allocate money, having been on the grants committee, and to have to say no to some or reduce some. But I do agree with this reduction, and because I really think that the warming center is something that is needed for the winter. And I know that the food is also necessary, but quite often community will step up to that where maybe they wouldn't be so giving for a warming center. So I agree with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick comment, just so folks know, the Salvation Army will be a part of the Santa Claus Parade again, collecting along the parade route. The captain was did let us know during the meeting. Councillor Martin, just to kind of touch on something you mentioned, the captain of Salvation Army did mention that they were hoping some of these funds could be used so that folks could buy perishable items as well. You know, nobody should have to live their life off of just non-perishable food items. So they do hope to use some of the funds for that as well. But to our community, please, if you have the ability to give, if you're down at the parade, grab some items, bring them down there, buy those gift cards for the local grocery stores as well. And those can be donated to the food bank as well. So just keeping that in mind so people know that they can contribute in other ways.
Thank you. I'd certainly like to add that it's no secret, utmost respect for Salvation Army as well. The need is huge. In the letter that was sent to us for those watching at home, the demand has gone up 200% while the donations have decreased. So recognizing they're in a big spot, but as Councillor Lauder mentioned, sometimes it is very tough. And I want to thank not only the council members that sit with me on that task force, but the community partners. We go through and, you know, sometimes we can be 2 hours of talking about different concerns and everything else. So I want the public to know we do take it very serious. We are doing what we can, and this is one of the ways with some finances, and would like to spend it all once we kind of figure everything out. So next council meeting, don't be surprised. I think you're going to see more asks of council for decisions. And with that, if there's no other comments or questions, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you, everyone. None opposed. No notice of motions, no new business, no presentations or delegations, Where am I? I'm sorry. I backed up. I went to the wrong page. Sorry, everyone. I can't believe we're almost done. It's an early meeting. Draft bylaws. Counselor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself, Counselor Key Leatherborough, seconded by Counselor Schadenberg, that the following bylaws be given a first and second reading. 9638-23, a bylaw to repeal and replace the City of Woodstock Municipal Code, Chapter 802 fireworks. 9639-23, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 8626-10 as amended, ZN-8-21 and ZN-8-21-2022. Carn Road Land Development Corp. And Cache Developments. 9640-23, a bylaw to amend traffic bylaw 8021-04 as amended. 9641-23, a bylaw to provide for the sale of certain lands owned by the Corporation of the City of Woodstock to 214 Carson Co.
Thank you. Any questions of council? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed, carried, and Counselor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself, Counselor Key Leatherborough, seconded by Counselor Lauder, that the following bylaws be given a third and final reading. 9638-23, 9639-23, 9640-23, 9641-23.
Thank you. Last chance. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed, that carries. And with that, we'll do questions and addresses. Counselor Tate.
Thank you, and we got done early, so there was no rush, but so November is Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Ontario. So yesterday, all of council was present for the flag raising at the county courthouse. That's why we're all wearing purple, because purple is the symbol. But I just wanted to make a comment. I was having a conversation about the money that is delegated from the Mayor's Task Force with Councillor Leatherborough, and I said it would be really nice if a lot of these agencies would merge together, and then there would be more for the people that need it the most. So, and I said as an example, Ingamo and Dasso. So when Diane Harris took over both agencies at the time, I sent her congratulations, a lot of, big job. But I said to her, there was never any public acknowledgement. And so I said to her, I would like to public acknowledge the amount of work that she took over to run both agencies. So this is a perfect example of eliminating some costs so two agencies can run together, and the benefit to everybody is in the community. So I appreciate all the work she's done. It's a lot of work. It's a very difficult job. And I think she's shown great leadership, both these agencies, getting rid of one administration and having two. So my hat's off to her. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you, and I'll definitely mirror those. Fantastic. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. I just want to remind people that you have this is the perfect time to book a COVID shot or flu shot or both. I went last week and did the 2-for-1. Didn't feel great the next day for a couple of hours, and then rebounded and feel fantastic again. I feel invincible, in fact, for a few months. It is available widely now. It's not just for certain age groups, so anyone can go and get the vaccine. You can go to Southwestern Public Health's page to book it. You're booking it through the provincial booking system, but that is the place to start. And there are vaccination appointments available starting in early December. They're also available at local pharmacies.
Thank you. Councillor Leatherborough.
To dovetail off of Councillor Tate's comments, that November is Women Abuse Prevention Month. So do participate in wearing purple, as well as if you're on social media, follows onto Woodstock, Ingamo, Dasso, or Dart. So we all look great in purple. So we'll see that throughout the month. And also Ingamo is celebrating 35 years next March, which is unbelievable. Some of us, or myself and some other colleagues across the county, were at the pavilion unveiling, and that was really, really special to see how they can continue to create community and support on the grounds there under the pavilion. And this Saturday, Heart of Oxford, Saturday, November 4th, 10 to 8 p.m. at the Oxford Auditorium. Sometimes we hear that there isn't enough to do in the city of Woodstock, but there are a lot of local businesses participating. So if you're going to the farmers market to get your Saturday morning goodies, pop over to the auditorium. I believe tickets are between $10 and $12. And I believe that's all I have for today.
Thank you. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Thank you. I'm a little casual today because I was at the United Way stair climb this morning for the student stair climb. So my purple scarf is on my desk at work because I ran there after the stair climb to get here. It always amazes me to see those young people come out. They raised over $30,000 at the initial count today. IDCI was the top fundraising school again, raising, I think they were close to 12,000, 11,000 something is what they raised. And they had over 300 students in attendance. So they had 5 school buses that they brought in. So I'm tired. It's always loud there, but the energy in that building is unbelievable. So congrats to all of those students and to United Way on a great event this morning. And yeah, I've had something else in my mind, but my brain is just very tired from this morning and it's ringing. My ears are still ringing. So I hope everyone has a oh, I know what it was. It was the pumpkin, the great pumpkin rescue. I've had a few people ask me about that. So there's a couple of different options. Go to the City of Woodstock, the social medias, the website, and see how that works. Folks like to see their pumpkins go to good use. So let the wildlife and some of the livestock at local farms enjoy those. So between the City of Woodstock and some other groups outside of within Oxford County, there's some good use for those pumpkins. So make sure you check it out.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Schadenberg.
Thanks. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the Woodstock Lakers senior hockey team. They picked up their first ever win since moving to Woodstock. They were the Plattsville Lakers before. So they beat Delhi Flames this past weekend 7-5. Their next home game isn't until Saturday, November the 25th at 7:45 against Tilbury. So they only play a 24-game schedule. So by all means, to keep an eye on when they're scheduled to play and follow that hockey team. And one of the reasons why the Lakers don't have a home game till the 25th is because the 2 of the next 3 weekends, Southwood Arenas will be very busy with Silver Stick qualifying tournaments. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it starts tomorrow, November 3rd to 5th, and then again, November 17th to 19th. This weekend is the under 14 and under 16 tournaments. Silverstick.org is where you'll find the full schedule. And of course, Woodstock is a team entered in both divisions. Want to speak about Indwell. Harvey Woods Lofts at 18 Van Sittert are having a vendor sale, a bit of a rummage sale if you want to call it that, but also a vendor sale on Saturday. So it's an indoor sale from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. in their atrium. And then speaking again about Indwell, they have their Hope and Homes banquet tomorrow night. That's 5:30 tomorrow night at Maranatha Church. Indwell.ca is a great place to look out for more information on that organization. They continue to grow as far as their residential services that they do for people. But I remember when it was both 3 communities, including Woodstock at Van Sittert, Harvey Woods Lofts, and also at the Blossom Park, where they really are across London and so many other communities really growing with their reach.
Thank you. Last, certainly not least, Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. I'm just going to go on a little further about Diane Harris. She is on our Woodstock Nonprofit Housing Board now, so she is a very, very busy lady. But we're excited because Ingamo, some of the ladies from Ingamo and their children will have units at our new build that is started now behind Woodingford Lodge. And so she is busy working on that with us. So yes, she keeps very busy. So the other thing, just from the art gallery, is their current exhibition at their the fall open house on November 4th, this Saturday from 1 to 3, and this is a free event. November 5th to 11th is Crime Prevention Week, and there is a speaker coming to our theater Woodstock. Human trafficking, learn more from our Oxford lens. It's Tuesday, November the 14th from 6:30 to 8:30. And it is free. And the guest speaker is Cassandra Diamond, founder and executive director of Bridge North Women's Mentorship and Advocacy Services, a survivor LED organization committed to ending sexual exploitation in Canada. So it's a free, anyone can attend, and we're asking the community to attend that event. Thank you.
Thank you. Just wanted to take a moment to reference the media release that was distributed earlier today, confirming that the Strong Mayors Building Home Act came into effect yesterday for all the communities who committed to their provincially assigned housing targets. As I said from the beginning, my intent is to keep status quo and respect the role of council as much as possible. So yesterday I did issue directives and decisions to maintain our current practices related to the appointment of the CAO, chairs and vice chairs of local boards and the committees, determining the organizational structure and for the hiring and dismissal of staff, and directed staff to prepare the capital budget for presentation to council per the schedule this council approved at a recent meeting. Any and all decisions issued under the updated legislation will be posted online at www.cityofwoodstock.ca/mayoral decisions. These strong powers are a byproduct of agreeing to the provincial housing target, which enables us to access our share of the $1.2 billion Building Faster Fund. Now, I know the 4 to 5 million we'll receive if we reach our targets won't cover all the costs, but that's still $4 to $5 million that we don't have to include in the general tax levy for the general public. It will be important for this council to now work together to develop a housing pledge that ensures we have the tools and the strategies in place to see more homes built for those living in our community. I'm looking forward to a productive discussion on our November 9th meeting on this topic here in council chambers at 1:30 in the afternoon. We'll continue to share information and provide updates as we work towards this goal together. Also want to bring it, Remembrance Day is really special. I hope everybody has noticed the banners out and everything. I truly believe that Remembrance Day shouldn't be just one day and we should remember much longer. So I want to thank staff again for getting those banners up. I think it's really special. Had a tough time deciding what I was going to wear today based on that. So I threw red and purple together, trying to, because of course, Dasso is so close to my heart, Ningamo, all the work they do there as well. So recognizing and thank them for the opportunity to speak at yesterday's flag raising event on behalf of County of Oxford. So that was special. I hope to see everyone out here in the city at the Cenotaph on Saturday, November 11th at 11 a.m. of course. Hopefully the weather will be clear and we'll have the Harvards fly over, and as always, special moment. And for those asking, no, I'm not a grandfather yet. She's now, what, 6 days overdue. She was due last Friday, and hoping and praying, but thank you for all the messages I am getting, and I will try to let you know as soon as I can. And with that, stay tuned to What's on Woodstock. The new magazine is out there. There is a year in review, and I recommend everybody to check that out. We've done a lot. I'm really proud of what we've been able to accomplish so far as 1 year as working together as a council. And some of the highlights are certainly there. And again, we'll keep on going from that point. And with that, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Wismer Van Meer, seconded by Councillor Leatherborough. All those in favor? We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.